Hello and welcome everyone to Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. We are still on the curious case of the stolen plants and murdered garden managers. I guess that's what you can call it. And we last time checked out the Divine Syndicate, found some interesting clues there. Everyone is suspicious, that much we can say. And now we have to perform an analysis for the chemistry flask that we found in Kew Gardens, thanks to the help of Toby.
Let us determine just what we have found here. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis.
We found some residue gold in there, as well as a caterpillar.
This is the bottle that we found hidden at Kew Gardens. Let us use a pipette to take a sample of the liquid and fill a test tube.
Let's do exactly that. Go.
A colorless, water-based liquid.
Smell it.
Quite a strong floral aroma.
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
Oh,
What if
wow.
it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So
That's
what do you
some
think
trust
it is?
into Watson.
It is some kind of organic compound. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens.
Okay. Turn on the burner. Okay, what do we have here?
Small colorless crystals. Colorless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water, with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you.
Okay. I guess we need to take some pipette.
Red sediment, just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic origin. It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's laboratory.
Okay, a fertilizer. Interesting. Huh. Not necessarily what I expected. I mean, why would anyone hide that? Right? I mean, fertilizer in a garden doesn't seem to be too unusual. Set up the experiment. Set up the alkaloid from a chemical laboratory on the caterpillars and perform the experiment.
According to the deadly plants information, in order to perform our experiment, we will need fertilizer and food. Caterpillars should do nicely.
Okay.
According to the
Oh. We now have to go back to the syndicate. What is Watson doing there?
This green grand mystic fellow seems rather suspicious, Holmes. What should we do next, Holmes?
Well, you're doing the same Tai Chi thing that he's doing now. Okay, I guess I need something from the Divine Syndicate. There was something that we wanted to pick up but couldn't at the point. that point. So maybe we can do that now. That is all very interesting. The crazy thing about this case is certainly that everyone involved has a motive and could be potentially the killer. So there's something here, remember.
This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment.
Okay, that is what we needed. First time we were here, I couldn't pick it up. Let's go back. We already picked up the plants and the caterpillars.
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask.
Oh. Okay.
A carnivorous plant.
Okay.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
This one closes.
This
Oh. Was it away?
plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid.
Maybe it's the one on the middle, since it's open.
No reaction. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more.
Okay. Okay, it opens.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
Can we, like, poke it?
It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. No reaction.
Okay. So we have to definitely open it.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
What happens if I put
This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. I find the behavior of predators utterly fascinating.
Okay. Can we combine any of these?
It appears to have fallen inactive. My word! It shot a spike at me after I stabbed it with a pin. I imagined that its reaction would be ferocious if I increased the strength of my attack. My word!
Shoots at me. What can I do to further agitate it aside? poking it with a pin.
No reaction.
Oh, maybe I have to switch these out. Maybe that's what I gotta do.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars.
Oh.
My word.
If I... Oh.
Toxic gas.
Yes!
With spores. Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Okay. Kew Gardens it is then. So, deadly precision. Connect all these. Okay. Albert's lack of experience. Albert is not very good at botany. It is doubtful that he could have learned how to plant, the plants might release the... Yeah. I would say so. He wasn't very good at botany. White's lack of experience. The knowledge is White acquired at the university might not be enough to guarantee the correct reaction of the deadly plants. Miss White had the bio... She was very good. She was an exceptional student. The Divine Syndicate left the plants at Kew Gardens in order to murder Montague Dunne at a later date. Ooh. I don't think they are involved. I don't know why, but that would mean that we're not having anything for Hamish. That is weird. Okay, so that is one conclusion. We say lack of experience. And the syndicate killed him. For some reason, I don't think so. And I feel like we're missing something for Hamish. Because he clearly has a motive, and we should have more about that. For Albert, yeah. Don't think so. Well, let's ask some more questions. Just like Holmes said. All suspect about the day of murder. Okay, let's just go first to the Divine Syndicate just to talk to that guy again. Maybe if we find out anything else. If not, then we'll go to Kew Gardens and question everyone involved again.
Follow my path, and better you will feel.
Okay. This is a really tricky case. Maybe the hardest one yet? Or at least the one that is the most open in terms of who was it. This late in the investigation. Mr. Hamish.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly, I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Okay, that gives us a little bit of a timeline. Let's see.
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait.
Okay.
Ah, these Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
Okay, so his struggle with the names definitely confirms that he probably has not the botany knowledge for this.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh, my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Okay. So let's talk to Miss White again. The Dunn was supposed to be here. Albert, that is. Think so, right? Because that's what he claimed. Or in the seed.
Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house.
Okay.
I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
Yeah.
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
Okay.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Oh, certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you,
Okay,
miss.
number 320. Sometime later.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
Okay. So. This must be first. Then. Oh. Second. Stumble there. Tries to break out, collapses.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
Okay.
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
Hey.
The smell is strong. It is a detergent.
So. Where was the access to the ventilation system again? Oh, have we been in this room? I don't think so. Maybe we have to examine that one again. Isn't the ventilation system somewhere on this side? There. Maybe?
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window.
You can see Watson there. Oh.
From here, we are unable to see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room.
I mean, you clearly have to use these levers, right? Oh. Generator. On.
Before starting the engine, I need to enable the power supply. The power is on. The engine has started. The ventilation system is working.
Okay. So now...
Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
This is a pretty long path, though, to the second one.
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo.
Look at him.
Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out, by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.
That is true. Okay, Hamish's opportunity. Hamish is guilty. Martin Hamish could be the killer. He had the opportunity to steal the Divine Syndicate's plans and stimulate them from his workplace, directly after he had locked Montague Dunn into the Colonial Collection Room. Effect the arrest of Martin Hamish, okay. Seems pretty straightforward.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
Maybe we just have to interrogate him. Okay, let's go to Scotland Yard. Arrest this man. I love that Watson was covered in caterpillars. Okay, I have to talk to Lestrade.
A very good day to you, my friend. Is Inspector Lestrade in?
The inspector's waiting for you in his office.
Okay. Oi.
Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you.
Okay. Seems very straightforward all of a sudden. A little bit suspicious.
Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
Okay, here we go. Something feels off. This is his work. Oh, in the large glass house. Yes.
Holmes, my God!
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body,
Oh, wow.
please? I should like to examine it.
Oh no.
The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
Is it? Oh, there is something. Life has become a living hell. I find it unbearable. Dunn deserved to die, but I cannot forgive myself for having his blood upon my hands. The Hamishes seem to have always fallen victim to our circumstances, and I find myself to be no exception. I must atone, and I shall do so here now. Farewell. Oh. Hamish acted alone. Martin Hamish was unable to run due to the tibial torsion on his club foot. Therefore, we should find out if he had sufficient time to lock the door of the colonial collection room and activate the ventilation system. Did he have an accomplice? Interesting. Yeah, we noticed that it's a pretty long walk. Discuss with Lestrade the possibility of the new clues found the body of Martin Hamish. Hey.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the Jack the Ripper case.
Precisely.
The map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
Let us analyze the facts and statements so that we may recreate the events of that morning.
Okay, and I think we will do that final step in the investigation tomorrow. We will take a short break here with a little bit of a cliffhanger and then see who actually killed Mr. Dunn and maybe who killed Mr. Hamish, or was it really suicide? Crazy developments here. Thank you all for joining me for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a like. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Share the video with friends, family, and the people on the internet. That helps me out a whole bunch and will bring you more content in the future. If you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, go check out the Patreon link down below. And I will be back with more Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments tomorrow. Until then, have a great time.